I took 3 deep breaths. I shook those breaths into my body, and then I relaxed. I let it go, and I went to take my place.
Bryan Cranston, Life in Parts. He details his story in a chronological order. He begins by telling you a story about Breaking Bad, about a specific scene on Breaking Bad, and how, if you guys have seen the show, it's a scene where Jesse Pinkman's girlfriend, I think her name is Jane, she ends up choking on her own vomit because she's on drugs, and Walter White could save her life, but Walter White lets her die because he knows that she's gonna compromise the business. Bryan Cranston describes that during that scene, he pictured his own daughter, who was about the same age at the time, dying in that scene, and that's why you get that emotion from him. And he invests so much time into becoming such a good actor. And his story is pretty interesting. He didn't actually become an actor until mid-20s, late 20s. He didn't even want to be an actor until his late 20s. He was like so close to being a police officer. He went to police academies. He was doing forensics training. He was doing like summer camps. He decided he didn't want to be a police officer. And in Life in Parts, it's a bunch of stories. It's just like it says, it's a life in parts. So it's his stories of all the different jobs that he had over the years since he was a little boy, to jobs as a training for him to be a police officer. He was a newspaper delivery man. He worked in a restaurant. He took a trip with his brother cross country and motorcycles in the 70s, and he literally went, I think it was about 2 years, from California all the way to New York to New England and all this the rest of the country. He traveled, and he was working at diners, sleeping in homeless shelters, at parks. I mean, they lived a crazy life. During this trip, he realized he wanted to become an actor because he was reading some plays, and they actually started a couple plays with his brother. The audiobook is perfect for the fact that he's actually the one narrating the story. So it's Heisenberg, it's Walter White, it's Bryan Cranston himself narrating the book. So his story it just feels, I don't want to say it feels personal, but I just feel like it's way better listening to him tell you the stories. Because I've listened to other biographies before, like the one by Elon Musk that I listened to. That one, it wasn't Elon Musk because we know Elon Musk is extremely busy. Everybody loves Bryan Cranston now. He talks about how becoming an actor is it's a long journey. He says that he didn't become famous until he was like 50 years old, and that's crazy because he always wanted to be successful, and it was always like he started off by making commercials, then he would go into soap operas and little cameos in TV shows, and he didn't become a big star until Malcolm in the Middle was his first consistent job that he had for over 7 years. And before that, it was just a cameo here and there, a commercial. He wasn't making any big money. He was barely surviving. He realized that every job that he had, it wasn't about, that's going to be my final job, or I'm not progressing right now, I'm stuck, I plateaued. He realized that everything he was doing, it was preparing him for the final role that he was going to play, because he knew that there was going to be one role, there was going to be an opportunity for him to be successful, and that he was going to be able to accomplish this by just working hard and enjoying every moment and every little gig that he got. So he would invest his character into becoming that character. It wasn't just an acting, like he would become that person, whatever it was, any character in a TV show. Even the Malcolm in the Middle, he was doing crazy things. Like he talks about how there was a scene in one of the episodes, he gets covered in bees and he got stung by like a bunch of bees, but he actually wanted to do it himself. He did a lot of crazy stuff in Malcolm in the Middle, and he was willing to do everything because he had so much fun, and he realized that everything he was doing, it was just gonna make him better in the long run. When the opportunity came, he was gonna be successful and he was gonna live a fulfilling life. Earlier in his career, he worked with a director on an episode of the X-Files, which was Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad. And I think it was like 11 years later, he called Bryan Cranston saying that he had a role for him to play Walter White. I recommend this book to anybody that just wants to listen to Bryan Cranston tell you his life stories about the struggles with his dad, about what it takes and how hard he worked in order for him to be successful. And you never know when that's going to be. It could be in the first year, it could be in 30 years. You never know, but just keep working at it. Never give up on your dreams. And it's a success story. I recommend it on Audible because you get to listen to Bryan Cranston narrate it himself. So it feels kind of personal when he's telling you his life stories. And I give this book an overall, I give it a B+. It's really enjoyable. You learn a lot about Bryan Cranston, and he tells you his whole life story in a chronological order. Even the ending is really interesting. I actually want to research the final chapter that he talks about in the book, so I'm not going to tell you what that is. You look at it yourself. So my name is Angel. This was a review for Bryan Cranston, A Life in Parts. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.